Early on January 11, 2023, over 250 German federal police and customs agents, supported by helicopters, surrounded a massive 230,000 square meter factory in Arnstadt. They were acting on a months-long secret investigation into reports of illegal labor, forged documents, and widespread minimum wage violations within the facility. After searching the grounds and questioning more than 400 employees, authorities were surprised by the results. Out of hundreds of potential infractions, they found only one minor violation. This factory belongs to CATL, the world's largest battery producer. To the German authorities, the raid revealed that this Chinese-run operation was not only matching local production scales, but had also mastered the complex regulatory and legal environment of the German heartland. The path to that factory began in 2018, when German Chancellor Angela Merkel and Chinese Premier Li Keqiang met in Berlin to formalize the project. The resulting agreement allowed CATL to build what was then the largest electric vehicle battery plant in Western Europe, and the only one of its kind in Germany. At the time, Bloomberg described the scene as an acknowledgement of the shift in industrial power, noting that Germany was effectively conceding the lead in battery technology to China. For over a century, Germany has led the world in automotive engineering. This raises a difficult question. How did its industry become so reliant on a Chinese firm for the most critical component of the electric age? In 1999, founder Robin Zeng bought a lithium polymer battery patent from Bell Labs in the United States for $1 million, but the design had a defect. During recharging, the cells physically expanded, causing swelling and a high risk of fire or explosion. Zeng and his team spent 2 weeks testing different electrolyte formulas until they found a combination that remained stable. The new formula didn't just fix the safety issue, it also cost significantly less to produce than batteries made by rivals in South Korea. By refining this technology, Zeng offered a thinner, safer product at a lower price point. Within 3 months of production, the company was profitable and gaining market share in portable electronics. In 2005, the Japanese electronics firm TDK acquired the company for $100 million. Rather than leaving, Zeng stayed to manage the business as a TDK subsidiary. Under Japanese ownership, the team adopted rigorous manufacturing and quality control protocols. This discipline allowed them to meet the exacting requirements of clients like Apple and Samsung. A major pivot occurred in 2010 when Herbert Diess, then the head of purchasing for BMW, approached Zeng. Diess was looking for a partner who could scale mobile phone battery technology up to the size and power needed for cars. To qualify as a supplier, BMW required CATL to follow an 800-page manual of engineering standards. Zeng read the document himself and rebuilt his production lines to comply with these German requirements. When Zeng eventually spun CATL off into an independent company, it carried a unique industrial DNA. It had integrated American innovation, Japanese manufacturing discipline, and German engineering standards. This map shows how CATL protected its engineering lead by securing the supply chain. They controlled raw materials before competitors could react, investing heavily in international mining, taking stakes in a lithium project in Australia and a nickel operation in Indonesia. To complete their control over the 3 essential battery elements, they acquired cobalt mining interests in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Feeding CATL's massive production capacity requires raw material extraction at a scale that legacy automakers have rarely had to manage directly. By controlling these resources, CATL can produce batteries at a volume and cost that Western manufacturers find difficult to challenge, effectively building a moat around their market position. Today, CATL invests roughly $3 billion a year into research and development, helping them capture nearly 40% of the global electric vehicle battery market. This means that brands like Tesla, BMW, Volkswagen, and Ford now rely on CATL's technology to power a significant portion of their electric fleets. While these car brands compete for customers, they are often using the same battery cells and internal architectures provided by the same Chinese supplier. The global shift toward electric transport is now heavily anchored by CATL. By systematically mastering the technical and regulatory secrets of its rivals, the company has made itself the central player in the future of the automobile. For over a century, German engineering was the undisputed king of the road. They perfected the internal combustion engine, and built an automotive empire that exported mechanical excellence to every corner of the globe. But in 2018, the German government brokered a deal in the state of Thuringia that signaled a massive shift. They weren't partnering with a local titan. They were asking a Chinese company, CATL, to come in and build an electric vehicle battery megafactory on German soil. To industry analysts, this agreement was an admission. The creators of the modern auto industry were acknowledging that they lacked the core technology required to power the cars of the future. Look at this breakdown of electric vehicle production costs. The battery is not an accessory. It is the defining component, dictating up to 50% of the total price of the car. German automakers discovered they simply did not have the engineering experience or the manufacturing infrastructure to produce lithium-ion batteries at a competitive price. Meanwhile, Chinese firms, which possessed just 2 marginal battery factories 2 decades ago, had spent that time securing total leverage over the supply chain. How did a country that spent decades failing to build a competitive traditional car manage to corner the established titans of the global auto industry? Go back to the early 2000s. Chinese domestic automakers struggled to match the mechanical precision and efficiency of Western and Japanese internal combustion engines. For years, they were always just playing catch-up. Instead of pouring billions into a race they were already losing, they made a different bet. The Chinese government and domestic companies redirected their massive industrial weight toward an emerging sector, electric vehicles. That singular focus created industrial giants like CAT, a company that today employs 18,000 researchers in its R&D division alone to maintain a technological lead over the rest of the world. The technical gap is so wide that legacy automakers like Ford are now spending $3.5 billion to license CAT's engineering designs and build a new battery plant in Michigan. They realized you don't beat a century of engineering dominance by copying it. You bypass the old race and establish a completely new one. Superior engineering is only half the equation. The real lock on the market comes from their systematic buyout of the raw materials required to make those batteries. This chart shows global mineral refining capacity. Right now, China controls roughly 65% of the world's refined lithium and 75% of its cobalt. When you look at graphite, another critical component, their share of global refining jumps to over 90%. That control extends straight into the manufacturing process. Chinese facilities produce 85% of the world's active cathodes and 90% of its active anodes. By owning the entire process from raw dirt to finished product, Chinese firms like CATL and BYD can produce batteries for under $60 million per gigawatt hour. Compare that to their closest competitors. It costs South Korean manufacturers around $88 million for that same gigawatt hour, and Japanese companies over $103 million. When the core component of your vehicle costs nearly twice as much to build, competing on the final sticker price becomes a mathematical impossibility. The result of this end-to-end integration is total market control. Today, China produces more than 80% of all lithium-ion batteries on the planet. Looking at this map of global production capacity, the disparity is stark. China holds an 85% share, leaving Europe with just 7% and North America trailing at 5%. Financial analysts widely agree that catching up is largely impossible in the near term. Consider the logistics, the massive infrastructure, and entrenched talent pools. In 20 years, they turned a massive disadvantage into global dominance by recognizing a major technological transition early and committing their entire industrial base to it while traditional automakers stalled. This industrial pivot serves as a blueprint for any region aiming to bypass established giants. China's success proves that developing nations can achieve global leverage by identifying the next wave of technology before it becomes the status quo. So, what is the emerging industry right now that the Arab world, or your specific country, could bet its full weight on? What is the move today that secures a seat at the global table tomorrow? Let me know what you think down in the comments.